So YouTube failed to connect. Let's figure that one out. Hold on.
That's so fucking
What?
so fucking grim over here.
Why is that?
The amount of fucking just the amount of shit that's it's 24/7 news coverage at the moment. This is just October. It's just October 7 again.
Mm.
Like just 24/7. This is like Australian October 7
We
basically.
we are live though,
They're really
or I
just
believe we
like,
are on some platforms. That's
are
the
we?
other thing. It's because I'm doing this a new way now. If people would be kind enough to let us know in whatever chat you're watching this on, if you can hear all the audio, if that's all working properly, if you can hear each person. When we start streaming some videos, if you can hear those,
Do
please
all
let
the
us know.
do all the
Uh,
chats come in here
uh, no,
from different platforms?
we'll have to like look at them on the side. I could probably figure out a way to add them in, but
Oh,
um,
one.
um, what are you doing there, Joseph? That's a new interesting angle. Nice frozen.
He just disappeared.
Hmm. All right, let me check.
I'm sorry, guys. Just give me 1 second.
Hmm. All right, let's see if we. I cannot tell if we are live on like any of these. It's terrible. If anybody would be so kind as just to like, let us know if you guys could possibly open up some of those links I sent in the Discord and check them in like a separate tab. Uh,
That's what I'm opening up. We're not on YouTube by the looks of it.
no, YouTube is for some reason not working. I don't know why that is.
Let's have a look at Instagram. What else is it going on?
It should be on Patreon, Substack, Kick, Rumble, and the Instagram I know is working. That one I can get.
Oh, I still haven't been invited to collab yet. Oh yes, I have.
I was gonna say I should have invited both your accounts. Hello everyone. If you actually are checking in, anybody who's here already, please let us know in the chat if you can hear the different audios.
Which account is it going through? Instagram.
Underscore turn leftist.
Okay.
So yeah, we're on Kick, Twitch, Rumble, Instagram. Substack should be working. Looks like. Patreon looks like it's working. Okay, so YouTube is the only one giving us a problem. But if that's the case, that means I could probably post it to YouTube after the fact by downloading it from one of the others. So not too big of a deal. But anyway, let's see. What do we want to start with? You guys want to start with Venezuela? I wonder if Joseph will be able to get back here in time. Let's see. Where do we got our topics list?
Hello.
Welcome back, Joseph.
There he is.
All right.
Who's on there? Well, it's just me at the moment.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's the other thing about this is that Instagram will display it weird. Unless I can change our orientation this way, like, does that make it any better for Instagram?
I'm just having a look. Sorry, what have you changed about this one that's different to how'd you used to do it?
Well, I would stream right from the website that we're using. I'm not going to name them because I don't know if it's like against the terms to do it this way. But now I'm just like separately streaming that from a from OBS basically, which is how like most people stream things. They just use OBS. It's like a program you just put on your computer. It's free.
Yeah, OBS is a good program.
So it looks like if I click over to check
it's
the
still
Instagram,
displaying. It's still displaying weird. I wonder if is there a way you can do a 3 on top? Isn't there a mobile layout for this app?
oh yeah, you know what? There might be. Let me try that.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Try
Jarrod,
yeah,
you're so
do
smart,
that
dude.
layout. That
Beautiful.
yeah, that's much better. If it's just working on Instagram, do it like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's working on all of them. It'll just make it do that on all of them, which is fine. Anyway, so
All right, guys.
I think we wanted to start with let's talk about Venezuela. What do you guys think for the prospects of a possible invasion of Venezuela?
Oh, someone just asked about our take on SpongeBob, though.
Oh, that's important actually. We should address that first and foremost.
Oh, someone also wants to know who's who, so we should probably do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kind of assuming.
All right.
Everybody
Well,
knows.
I'm Jarrod. I run the Tico account, Tico1917, and I'm from Australia. In brackets, cringe. And we're going to talk about Bondi at some point, so stick around. We're gonna talk about the Bondi shooting. And
Bandai?
also SpongeBob is a Muslim. He lives in a pineapple. He got the pineapple through jihad or whatever the fuck the meme is. What's the
That is
fuck
a good
about?
meme.
I thought SpongeBob was Chinese.
Oh, he's both. He's a Chinese Muslim.
Yeah, he's from Xinjiang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was unaware of his Chinese origins.
Yeah, so there's some video where it's literally just Chinese SpongeBob, and it's like kind of racist, but it's also
Oh, I've seen that video. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Anyway, you
I'm-
guys should introduce yourselves, by the way.
Yeah, I'm Mike.
Yeah.
I run the
I'm,
Turn Leftist
I'm-
pages, and Joseph is on the bottom. Go ahead, Joseph.
Yep. I'm Joseph. I run the Marxist Analysis newsletter page on Instagram and YouTube and all that fun stuff. We're in the No Lib Zone Discord. I'm sure everyone listening and watching knows us all from there. Yeah, let's get into it.
I was able to check and verify that we were streaming on Substack, and that's why I doubled up the audio there for a second. Sorry, guys. So for the people watching, but yeah, in case they didn't catch that, Joseph runs the Marxist Analysis newsletter page on various social medias and everything. Because you have a Substack for that, right?
Yes. Substack, Patreon, YouTube, Instagram.
Hell yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm going by _ Turn Leftist, Turn Tanky, and then Turn Leftist 0. So that's what I've been
all
relegated
the
to.
permutations.
They delete me all the time, so I just have to. I don't even. I've lost count of how many pages I'm on at this point. But anyway, addressing the more pressing issues. So, I don't know. I mean, do you guys think we could take bets on whether you think the invasion of Venezuela will actually happen? Because everybody's just already talking about it as if it is like Iraq 2.0. Like I think you mentioned that earlier, Joseph. Like anticipating that I think it would already end up
I
that
think-
way, right? Everybody sort of imagines it would end up to be like a long boondoggle that would not end up benefiting the U.S. Even if they end up installing like a puppet, it would probably end up the way that all those other Middle Eastern wars ended up because, Venezuela is like a large country. I guess is what people are saying. It's like a more powerful country that is harder to destabilize than some people might just expect. People who are like U.S. war hawks and they're just so confident in the U.S. military might. So I don't know. What do you guys have? You think it'll happen, and then how do you think it would turn out if it did?
I think, as far as Venezuela goes, to me it, I could be wrong, but it reminds me more of like the Syria situation, where, Syria had a very, it had a state, it had a government, and like Assad was like allied with like Russia and all these other places, and with Venezuela, Maduro he has these diplomatic relations with a bunch of different countries, like Russia and China included, and Nicaragua and several others. So I think that the global South focus on Venezuela as this like massive oil source, despite its lack of exports, really, I think that the U.S. is going to have a really hard time successfully toppling it. I think they're going to keep trying. I think they're going to try a whole lot, and I think that they're going to try lots of different methods, like they've been trying for years now. But it might be like a multi-presidential thing, like it pretty much has already, I think that if they did topple it successfully, then it would crumble in on itself so quickly because there's a lot of democratic, like popular support for Maduro
Mm-hmm.
and the current government right now. And it'll just be another civil war situation, I think, if that happens.
Oh, like a Ukraine maybe, or
Yeah, maybe.
2014-ish, not like current Ukraine.
Yeah.
How about you, Jared? What do you think? Oh, never mind.
My headphones just ran out of battery.
Oh, okay. Um,
Switching to another one.
I mean, I was
Locking in.
also
Good-
gonna
good
ask,
guy.
like, we could
You
also
guys are saying
consider.
something I can't fucking hear it.
No problem. Then I'll babble while he takes a second. This is very funny.
Yeah.
I mean, what
He's-
options does the U.S. have on the table? Like, the U.S. typically starts bombing. It typically starts just like dropping bombs on a place. They'll target, like, what did they target? Like the nuclear infrastructure of Iran. So
Mhm.
maybe they'll go after like what supposed, I don't know, drug infrastructure in Venezuela, since that's the pretext. So they'll bomb some
Drug
places that they're,
infrastructure.
yeah, they're just going to call them like drug manufacturing facilities or whatever. They will probably target, obviously, leadership. They'll target Maduro. If they get him, or if he gets out of the country, maybe he goes to Russia or somewhere safe. Either way, if they install like a puppet like Machado, I saw the headline that was very ironic earlier today, saying like the Nobel Peace Prize winner calls for war, which is very funny.
Yeah.
But it's like, then what do they have on the table after that? It's like a lot of drone warfare. I know the U.S. is very hesitant to send in troops with boots on the ground, so it would probably be a lot of drones with minimal troop presence, and maybe some, like, yeah, just a bunch of air bombing and some kind of like. Does the U.S. like use aircraft? I guess they've already been using aircraft carriers to attack the boats that they're attacking now, so probably more of that as
Yeah.
well. So, you
They,
back,
they have a,
Jared?
they have a pretty huge
Sorry.
they have a pretty huge like naval presence, or the United States has a really huge naval presence outside of Venezuela, like on the coast.
Right.
So I don't do you think that's posturing, or is that like they're just, yeah, we've got this many people on standby for when the order comes that yes, we're doing a ground invasion.
I
you know?
mean, yeah, again, I feel like the naval presence is a little of both. It's like showing that they have all this infrastructure at the ready for if they want to either resupply troops, or if they just want to have, like, I don't know, jets take off of those aircraft carriers and like wreak havoc, which is what the U.S. is great at.
Yeah. What do you think, Jared? Oh, he's switching to different headphones.
Damn.
Well, I totally understand. I had to use my my wife's headphones. That's
I didn't
why,
even realize. Like, I thought those were just like yours.
Uh, they're super dolled up. They have some stickers on them.
They are adorable.
Yeah, thank you.
Who are those characters? Do you know?
I think one's a turtle. I think that's a panda.
Oh, they're not from any kind of
Uh,
like particular franchise, or
I
like.
don't think they're I don't think they're from anything. I think they're just cute.
Okay. Because I'm sure like somebody in our audience would go nuts for it. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, hell yeah!" Like Undertale or something.
I need-
like.
I need to get those headphones that have like the cat ears that
Mm.
glow.
Oh, yeah.
To be a
Off of
real
that.
streamer.
Those fucking headphones have like 50 hours of battery life, and they decide to die now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
on.
yeah.
Such bullshit.
Well, we were just saying, possible predictions of Venezuela. What do you think, Jared?
No, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Nice. I like the optimism.
I just think what they'll do is they'll keep stealing like oil tankers every now and then, and they'll like bomb parts of Venezuela. They might kill Maduro, like they might do a targeted,
Mm.
quote unquote targeted airstrike to kill Maduro, but they're not going to do a ground invasion. There's no way.
Mm.
It'd be a fucking disaster for America if they did that. Like, it would be such a like they can destroy Venezuela. They know. I think they learned from like Iraq and Afghanistan that you can destroy a country without invading it. Like what they did to Syria. I mean, they did invade Syria. There are U.S. troops in Syria. I mean, a couple of them were just killed the other day, like U.S. troops, because they're stealing Syrian oil, and there's obviously Israeli troops in there as well, stealing land and oil as well. But like, they know that like the best way to destroy a country now is because like Iraq and Afghanistan, right? That didn't work. So what do you do instead? You sanction the shit out of the country and you bomb them, and you send shitloads of money and weapons in there and hope that terrorist groups form and they do the work for you.
Yeah,
And
do everything in their soft power before they eventually do anything hardline.
I guess
yeah,
is the
and that
question: do they
worked.
have a Venezuelan Jolani? Like, can they put in a successful puppet that lets all the mob, the bands of militant terrorists run it, as like a puppet state? But go ahead. Sorry, Jared.
Oh, just saying they would have. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's popular sentiment in Venezuela for like some kind of like terrorist thing to pop up, and also you don't have like the history of like you don't have like in the Middle East, the Americans have all these like they have Islam,
They have a lot of
like
proxy
Wahhabist
forces. Like,
Islam. Yeah, they have Wahhabist Islam to work as proxy forces, but in Venezuela, there's no real equivalent. I guess they could use cartels and things like that, but like cartels and like drug cartels are really not prevalent in Venezuela at all. Because obviously
it
we all
sucks
know
that their
that,
pretext isn't true, right?
yeah, obviously
Yeah.
we know the pretext isn't true, but like they would, I don't know what group they would use to try and overthrow it from the inside. I think they're just kind of hoping that the sanctions and all the rest of it will eventually make the people pissed off enough, and bombing the infrastructure will eventually cause regime change, but they just don't have those reactionary forces within Venezuela like they do in the Middle East. Um, so I don't know. Maybe they will have to do a ground invasion. Like, but
It's crazy to think about.
that they would lose. Like they would 1,000% lose if they did a ground invasion of Venezuela. Venezuela would be destroyed. It would be like Vietnam.
Mm.
Like it would be like Vietnam. Like millions of people would die, and it would be a horrible genocide. It would be a genocide, just like Vietnam, just like Korea. But in the end, the Venezuelan people would survive. I just hope that doesn't happen. That it doesn't come to a ground
Yeah.
invasion.
It seems like with what Vladimir Putin is saying, as far as like solidarity with Venezuela, and Maduro specifically, that I mean I think Venezuela already has like Russian weapons, Russian bombs, and like Chinese supplied weapons as well. Or I could be wrong about the Chinese weapons. Don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
but I think that the Russian ones they definitely have. So that they've received material support from other superpowers that you know could be possibly taking advantage of like the proxy situation of Venezuela. But
But
like,
once a war starts, there's no way Venezuela's like backers are going to be able to get anything to them, really.
mhm,
Like, how's like Russia and China going to get stuff to Venezuela if they're using Russian and Chinese weaponry? How are they going to get the weapons? It's not like the Middle East where it can be moved, like in occupied Palestine and Syria, and yeah, Palestine, Syria, and Lebanon, for example. Stuff can be moved because China can move stuff and Russia can move stuff via land. It's easier to sneak stuff in there, but how are you going to get it? They're not
that's
really going
true.
to be able to get it to Venezuela via ship.
Mm-hmm.
Like the U.S. will have that locked down completely.
Yeah, and like doesn't the U.S. control like the Panama Canal? So it's like
Yeah.
that whole trade route
I thought
would
that,
just
like
be
they were
blocked off
talking about
probably.
taking it back from China, but like, or I guess the U.S. already does, and like, it was bluster that China even controls it to begin with. Is what I'd been,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It actually could go very bad for Venezuela the more we are hashing it out. Like, it could end up being like another destabilization event. Because, like you're saying, if they can't supply them, like, I know that that was the recent talk about, like, what happened in Colombia? Did someone else just win an election in Colombia that's friendly to the U.S.? So we have, like,
Chile, I think.
well, Chile also. That was, like, the recent. But I thought something else happened in Colombia that, like, I don't know the geography enough. Hold on.
Just turn around.
It's, like,
Yeah.
right behind me. So we got,
Yeah.
like,
Hold on. Let's just figure out what the fuck's going on over there.
yeah,
Let's do-
because Colombia is right next to it, so it's like.
yeah, we know what we're talking about. We know.
No, I just
he's
think.
doing the Wojak thing. He's
Well,
do-
I think Chile is less important, I guess, because it's like all the way down here, whereas like Colombia is right fucking next to Venezuela. It's like so.
yeah. Yeah, I think well I know that Venezuela has good relations with Nicaragua,
Hmm.
and Nicaragua has had a really turbulent history as far as like I mean, pretty much every South American country has, but Nicaragua for sure has experienced a lot of like CIA infiltration and like
Mm,
destabilization over the years, over the decades.
true.
So I don't
Like
know, man.
you're just pointing at a fucking map. That's a fucking hell. That's the most American thing I've ever seen. Be like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, where's this country?
I mean, I just don't know. Again, because I am an American, I just don't know geography all that well. I don't know what countries are right next to each other. But like, even just turning around to look at it helps me to understand that, like, yeah, what happens in Colombia's politics is going to be a little more important than what happens in Chile for
Mm.
Venezuela, considering that like Chile and Venezuela just don't touch at all, whereas Colombia and Venezuela share like a huge ton of border. So
Oh yeah. And then there's
uh,
Brazil. What the hell is
yeah,
going on with Brazil?
yeah.
Fucking Javier Milei,
No,
being like,
that's Argentina.
oh, that's Argentina.
Now we really look
Fuck.
bad.
Turn off
Brazil's
the
got
podcast.
the
Turn it off.
Brazil's got the lulags. It's Lula.
Yeah, but Lula's not to be trusted. Like, Lula has already caved to the West in a bunch of like very key and important, like some really like inflection points that like he should not have done that. So yeah, it's unfortunate. But anyway, we can
Yeah,
move
I
on
mean
from
they don't.
Venezuela. We could talk about Ukraine because I've been itching for Ukraine updates ever since Jarrod was not on the last one, and a lot of stuff has happened.
Oh yeah.
I haven't. To be honest, I haven't been keeping up with Ukraine at all. Uh, but you guys have some information, so
I mean, I just
we're
know
gonna talk.
Pokrovsk is like the big thing that everyone has been talking about lately. I was planning on just like trying to Google some headlines while we're here because it's actually tough to find good information. Like, believe it or not, I cannot find unbiased information about the proxy war in Ukraine. Would you believe that?
Mm.
What's
I
that?
get.
What's that website? What's that website that's like it shows like live, like actual real time changes in the front line?
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
forgot.
Isn't that a thing?
there's a bunch of people who map the war in Ukraine like that. And there's guys who are. I get my information from various Telegram chats, and they use those maps. And there's like pro Ukraine maps and there's pro Russian maps, and I use both because they both uh, because the truth of where the front lines is like somewhere in between what
Yeah,
Right.
makes
the
sense. It
pro
would balance
Russians
out.
is. Yeah, I'm the enlightened centrist. It's, it's like, no, but you know what I mean. It's like the Russians are going to like, the Russian guys are going to exaggerate breakthroughs and stuff like that, and the Ukrainians are going to minimize them. So, if when you know both sources are kind of saying roughly the same thing, that's probably what's happening.
I can't believe that there
Um,
isn't someone who is doing a map that is a combination of like several of both sources, so they can be the enlightened centrist mapper, and like that seems like it
oh,
would go
people do
viral.
that.
Oh, okay.
People do combine the maps all the time. But yeah, Povros got surrounded, and it's been in Russia's hands for a few weeks now.
Mm.
So Povros is over. The next thing is going to be the next major front will be the Dnipro, the city. I think the city is called Dnipro. It's on the river,
Oh, right,
Dnipro
yeah.
River.
Yeah, I always hear about
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
dam
yeah.
there.
Yes,
People
it's
are
the
always
Dni.
talking
I
about
think
that.
it's fuck. I always forget the name of that. Yeah, the city's named Dnipro, but it's right on the river. If you look at a map of Ukraine, there's a massive river that's right in between.
Right there.
Yeah.
No, I'm fucking around.
You're pointing at a map. God damn it. But basically, Ukraine is split more or less in half by this massive river called the Dnipro River, which goes through Kiev, right? And then it goes all the way down. It kind of goes east, and then it goes to Dnipro, and then it goes down to the ocean. So it doesn't really split it in half. It's more like splits it in like a third. And that's Russia's goal is to basically get to the Dnipro River. That'll probably be that'll be them winning the war pretty much. If
Mm.
Dnipro falls, that's it. It's over. Because that river is the biggest natural landmark. What's the word I'm looking for? Like barrier.
Oh,
Like
right.
that river's going to
Right.
be very hard to cross. It's a very, very big river. It's going to be very hard to cross, and it's the best defense that Ukraine has. That's where they'll be falling back to is Dnipro. And if you look at Kiev, it's also on the Dnipro River.
Mm.
So
Mm.
once Russia is basically across that river, they can attack. They're basically attacking Ukraine uh, from behind, more or less.
Mm.
So
Wow.
it's they're fucked once that happens. But it's not like Russia's going to take like like 2 years or more to get there, the war won't still be going in 2 years. I don't think.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh man, I hope Russia conquers all of Ukraine and Ukraine is eliminated from existence.
Hell yeah. Joseph, you've come a
Um,
long way from saying Russia was imperialist.
you know what? People can change. People can grow.
No, it's just funny, like the way that like people, the thing that like really has been irking me lately is like I really feel like uh people have just been so indoctrinated to hate this one man, Vladimir Putin, that they were willing to
Hmm.
support literal neo Nazis, like literal militias of fucking neo Nazis, like like doing the Hitler salutes right before they're killed by a drone, waving the fucking flags, having the patches on their like they really believe this shit, and it's like that
Oh
is
yeah.
Ukraine is a fucking neo-Nazi country. And it's like you get into arguments with these fucking liberals, and they're like, "Well, I mean, come on, like how many fucking people do you think really in Ukraine? Like how many just average Ukrainians do you think are really out and out fascists?" And I'm just like, I don't know, dude, but too many. Like it's a fucking problem. Like it's way too prevalent, and they are way too cool with the Nazi militias. And like the fact that
Yeah.
like so many Americans were willing to make excuses for them and be like, "Oh well, what are they supposed to do? Just hand over their country to Vladimir Putin?" And it's like the scare quotes that they have around this guy as if he's just way worse than fascism. It's like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, nobody made you side with fascism over this one Russian dude, or let alone like think about politics in those great man theory terms like a fucking child, like an adolescent. Like, you're literally thinking about it in good guys and bad. Like, it's Putler versus Hero Zelensky. Like, it's so childish.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Ukraine's not even a country anymore, really. Like
Yeah.
God
it's
willing.
a
It's kind of like a weird colony.
it's a American rump state, basically, like a client state. Like you're not really fighting for Ukrainian sovereignty at this point. You're like fighting for basically what's happening is you're deciding between whether like Ukraine's sovereignty will be taken away by Russia or by the West.
Mm,
Out of those two options, like I'm not, you guys know I'm not a massive fan of the Russian Federation at all, but
yeah.
like out
Yeah.
of that, those are the two options. That's the realistic, like the facts on the ground is that's the two options. There's nothing else. There's not going to be some Ukrainian leftist revolution or some shit or whatever. Like the country's infested with Nazis. Who's going to, who's better off like controlling Ukraine if you have to pick between these two powers? Obviously, Russia. Like fucking obviously. Like at least Russia's improved the infrastructure and conditions of people in the occupied territories in like Crimea. Obviously not in the Donbass and whatnot because those are still war zones. But like after the war, like the people living in uh, Russian occupied areas of Ukraine are going to be living better off than people in rump state Ukraine.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And we know that like in Crimea, the living standards are higher. In the 10 years that Russia's occupied Crimea, the living standards are higher now than they were back then, and they're better than living in, the rest of Ukraine.
Which is crazy
Yeah.
because I know that liberals don't believe that and will not see that in any of their media. Like, there's no way they have any idea about
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. Um, there's that video. I don't know if we shared it in like a collab or something, but it was Russian soldiers walking through a Ukrainian city or Ukrainian town, and like I don't know if this will necessarily speak for like every Ukrainian, every Ukrainian in Ukraine, and as far as their support for Russia, but like there were Ukrainians like greeting the soldiers and being like, "Oh yeah, go get them, guys,"
that.
like there was a whole welcoming atmosphere uh, for these Russian soldiers coming in and like doing what they're doing, right?
Hell yeah.
And I'm sure that that's I'm not going to paint a blanket statement of like every Ukrainian is a Nazi. There's a shitload of Ukrainian Nazis though.
Yeah,
That is undeniable.
it's a bad scene over there.
Yeah, and I think that as far as Russia is concerned with like their relationship to the global South and like global majority, um, if anybody was going to be involved in that Ukraine situation, it shouldn't be NATO. NATO is a fucking Nazi organization.
Yeah.
They're a Western imperialist Nazi organization. Uh, hands off of all of that, really.
The
I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Nazi arming and training organization.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Um,
and
yeah. Sorry, keep going, Jordan. Joseph Jordan. Jordan Joseph.
Jordan.
Peterson.
I think that I was recently reading Russia's, like, they put out this document, and I think Radhika, she's the person who runs like the
Okay, right. I could decide from geopolitical
yeah, yeah,
economy
yeah,
report.
she's great. She's great. She talked about this document that Russia put out as like a it addresses their, like, Russia's position towards the global majority, and it's similar to China's in that they are like trying to build solidarity and multipolarity, right?
Mm.
And like, even if Russia is this like capitalist country that has all these problems, like, as a Marxist, looking at the situation in reality, like supporting what government exists, not in a government that we wish could have existed,
Right.
right? Because it's not the Soviet Union anymore. It's not this socialist heaven, that we want it to be. But like, materially speaking, it is important to oppose imperialist forces, even from within the imperial core, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, as far as like my support for Russia is concerned, like, I know, I like you said, like, I used to think that Russia was imperialist because I didn't really understand the like rabid Russophobia that I was unconsciously parroting, right?
Mm.
And how a lot of Americans feel, and a lot of people in the West, and a lot of people in Europe, especially.
Mm.
And like the fear of Vladimir Putin as this like supervillain, right?
It's wild. It's like, how do
Um,
people think propaganda works? It's like that's how it
yeah,
works. Like,
yeah. It's you have to deprogram that, right?
see,
Haha,
how
deprogram.
do you think they get you? Yeah, shout out. How do you think they get you to support like literal fascists, other than brainwashing you, other than like a constant inundation of the media about like how bad this country, this one man, like this whole country is like. Everyone thinks that Russia is again like that grayscale caricature of like a hellscape dystopia, and like that's what I have just been telling Americans for like the last 10 years or so. It's like you're not going to get some kind of like leftist revolution the way you think because people don't want that here. They're not amenable to those politics at all. They're actually
Yeah,
perfectly happy with imperialism, even though it keeps waning under their feet and like it's literally just receding all the benefits they're getting from it. So they are going to get what they think Russia is. They're going to get that grayscale. And like when you go outside in America, it's fucking dilapidated. Like it looks like that. It
yes,
looks like what people think Eastern Europe, like shithole countries, look like. Because we're racist. We think that other countries are worse than ours, and it's just not the case. But Jared, you had something like, didn't you
Oh,
like a minute ago?
I was gonna say I don't necessarily agree that Russia's not imperialist, but I also don't think it fucking matters if they're imperialist or not. Like,
I just
who gives a shit?
it,
They're just fucking. The fact is, like, American imperialism is the most evil force in the fucking world by far. So it
right.
doesn't matter what Russia is. Who gives a shit? It's like, I mean, like, you should give a shit, but like, American power and NATO's power declining is unambiguously good always.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
even having a discussion, I do think because Russia's a capitalist country, it doesn't have any aspirations of socialism. It is imperialist in the same sense that every capitalist country is imperialist. And I don't think it should have invaded Ukraine. I think that was lame. But like at the same time, they have, and they're not going to stop. And what are the options here? Like, what are the options here?
Yeah.
NATO and Europe's power declining is good. Ukraine has the option of being pillaged by the West or being occupied against their will by Russia. Which one are they going to go? Which one's better for the Ukrainian people out of these two shitty options? Obviously, being occupied by Russia. Obviously,
right.
like
And that's kind of
my
how I'm looking at
stance.
it too.
Yeah.
Like as far as looking at it in terms of like what currently exists, right?
Mhm.
And not getting trapped in like my idealistic fantasies of like what I wish Russia could be, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then so I understand that point of view, right? I understand like
It's just so I just wish the fucking I just wish the 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 left there was a real like left in Russia as well that would like challenge the
Yeah.
power.
Yes,
You know,
I
I
agree with
just
that.
wish I wish the Communist Party of the Russian Federation was like a real force for holding Putin to account, and like ideally in the future, you know, having another revolution and starting the USSR too. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, the Communist Party of the Russian Federation is just it's completely compromised. It just does whatever um, Putin's party tells it to do, more or less.
Yeah.
Right.
Sadly,
I think.
hopefully, I
Go ahead.
really hope in the future they go back to being a communist country. I really do.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think a lot of countries are going to go that way just out of necessity. Like they're just not going to have a choice. They may have like even severely lower populations because of like climate change, but like what they have left as far as a state will probably lean a lot more socialist because you're going to have to either take care of the people you have or just collapse. Um,
Yeah,
but
I
I
mean,
mean,
Yeah.
socialism. I think socialism's inevitable. Communism's inevitable. But the thing is, like, I just don't want it to have to fucking take climate collapse to be the
yeah,
thing.
it's just not going to be as like
Like,
dreamy as we would like it to be because not everybody's going to get on board until it slaps them in the face that they were wrong about capitalism and liberalism. More importantly, like they really thought they could just ease their way into it, just like dip their toes into social welfare and everything, and just give everybody some UBI and some 40-hour work weeks, maybe some 4-day work weeks later on or whatever. It's like it's not how it works.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're saving. You know, they're saying you guys are gonna get free healthcare. I know that's gonna happen. Americans will get free healthcare.
Good
You know
luck, man.
why? Because they're saving that for you. They're saving that for when, because things are like there's kind of a little bit of a
It'll be tied
anti-imperialist
to like more
color.
military service though. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Is they're saving it for when they actually have to use it to avoid like just major disruptions.
mm,
Um, and the thing is, I mean, it's just a shame that Americans haven't. The left in America is so fucking useless that you can't
Yes.
even. They not you, but you know what I mean.
No, no,
they,
no,
well, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
us too. Yeah, I'm not doing
Yeah.
anything. I run a
They
fucking
can't
meme
even,
page and I
like-
do this.
Yeah,
We're,
I mean,
we're
the free-
propagandists, I guess.
Right, but that's like where I am the first to say I'm not a revolutionary or an activist. I'm a propagandist at best. But I did want to go back just real quick to try and tie this all together. Like, just definitionally, Russia is not imperialist. Like, if you wanted to say that Russia has imperialist ambitions, or that like somehow the overall character of the Russian government is like desirous of like imperial conquest at some point in the future when they have the military might and the political capital to be able to accomplish something like that. You could make that case, but I just literally do not trust any fucking American who has to look at a map like I do, who is like usually less informed than we are, or any fucking like Australian even like anybody in the West. I just don't trust anyone to make.
Whoa.
Just saying, bro.
Whoa.
I just I just don't trust any Westoids to make that
I'm
kind
in
of.
the global south, thank you.
Oh right.
Shut the fuck up.
I don't
I'm
think
in the global
anybody.
south, just like South Africa is. So that's what.
Oh right, yeah. But also, but just more importantly, even if you wanted to make that like neoliberal kind of like, oh well, they want to be imperialists, but they just don't have the balls and the ability to do it as good as we. Because like you instantly turn into a fascist. Like that's what the liberals and neoliberals instantly do is they turn into fucking fascists. Like, oh well, even if Russia, like they will, if you try to argue that Russia is anti-imperialist, they will start saying like some shit from like decades, millennia ago of like when Russia invaded this or that country or whatever, like the Russian Empire shit. And then if you like try to make the case that like Russia is actually like way less imperialist than the U.S., doesn't have like the 800 global military bases, is literally like a global South country, like basically like a third world country that has just come out of being a really impoverished state, has just like finally like broken free of like the humiliation it suffered after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and then they will go. They like the liberals instantly flip to like, oh yeah, well they're just weak. They're just like they just suck at doing imperialism. It's like they just turn into the fascist of like our enemies are both weak and strong at the same time, so therefore we have to crush them out of existence, probably balkanize them to make sure they can achieve their imperial ambitions that we insist they have, while we actually do have the 800 global military bases and the Western Empire to support it all, that we're extracting all the imperial super profits from everyone else. It's like it's so ridiculous to just put that on Russia in any way. It's like you can, if you do the liberal thing where you say they're ambitious, it just still doesn't even meet up with the Lenin's definition of imperialism of like having the global finance infrastructure and like spreading your claws over everybody else and sucking the wealth from them. It's like
Right.
they're doing the same thing with their win-win relationships and trade deals when they go to Africa, when they go to other global south countries, because they, again, do not have the military infrastructure to impose anything else by force. So they just have to. They have to provide beneficial deals. But
Yeah.
again, to tie it all together, like that always comes down to what people want. They want there to be this like international, global leftist movement that is comprised of actual workers and moves in the way that actual workers want and then benefits them, but that does not fucking exist. And when I say that I support the revolution that is actually happening, I mean that anti-imperialist like multipolarity revolution, which is like slow. It's slow as fuck, and it's going to lead us into the climate collapse socialism that we don't really want, and that will come on us like by absolute bare necessity, and will result in the deaths of probably billions of people along the way as people like as humanity stumbles into figuring that shit out, like just by mistakes, like literally by trial and
Yeah.
error, and that's going to suck. But like that's the one we're getting, and I support that over like I don't know, like the liberals winning and then thinking that they're going to install like thinking they're going to install like LGBT friendly governments in like Russia and Latin America, and then actually getting fascist every fucking time they overturn these places. It's like I can't do that shit, and I don't want to ever support that, and I don't fuck with anybody who does. Like,
Yeah. I think the I think of Russia in the same way that I think of India. You know,
hmm,
like India has, despite their like they are a capitalist country, but they're very much in this like neo-colonial. There he goes. They're in this like neo-colonial kind of um, position, right?
hmm,
And they're emerging from this neo-colonial position in the periphery, and I support their development. I
yeah,
support Russia's development. I support China's development. I support India's development. Even if I was to, be a fucking ultra leftist and say like, "Oh, China's actually not socialist," which I don't agree. I don't actually think that way. But if I were to like, I mean, I did think that a year ago, I guess. But like, even at that time, I was still like supportive of China
hmm,
and support and from that anti American Western imperialist point of view.
hmm,
So like I can look at these countries, China included, with their faults, but I'm not going to harp on the faults of China because it's there's no point.
hmm,
And really, as far as relativity goes, it's so dwarfed by all of these problems the United States represents as like this global threat, right?
hmm,
Um, so like India has like Modi, their leader. He's kind of a fascist, sort of like he's got some weird shit going on. Um, but like,
He's definitely a fascist,
yeah,
Modi.
yeah,
Like,
and
but
but I think as far as
criticism
like
of
their
BRICS is always like, oh, but most of the countries involved are capitalists, and one of them's and India's a fascist. And it's like, who for? And I'm like, any counter hegemonic power against the US is actually good,
yeah, yeah,
in the long term. I don't think BRICS is ideal. I think socialism is the answer, but
yeah,
like BRICS is what's there at the moment, and
yep,
the
I think
US,
the way that I
the number one contradiction in the world is the fascist Nazi empire of the
yes,
United
yes,
States, and that needs to
and
be brought down.
yeah, the way that I think about it, because I totally agree with that. I think that
Mm.
what Lenin said about like I'm gonna butcher the quote because I'm not gonna say it exactly, but he said something basically like you can't have reformism without revolution, right?
hmm,
But if you aim for only reformism, you're not going to get revolution at all.
yeah,
Um, so
That's what
like,
I'm. That's what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah,
You got free. We like in Australia, we got free healthcare because of the threat of communism.
mhm,
Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, the Communist Party here had like 100,000 members at one point, like in the 50s, like the 40s and 50s, right after the Russian Revolution, and then they gave everyone free healthcare, and then the Communist Party evaporated basically.
yeah,
And by the way, 100,000 people out of a population of less than 4 million. Like, that's
yeah,
pretty fucking good for a pretty good for a
yeah. It's not bad for a Western
first
country.
world country. Yeah, for
yeah,
a first world country founded on fucking genocide, that's
right.
pretty good. But yeah. Anyway,
I think
continue,
that
Joseph.
I think that thank you. I think that as far as like the reformism along with revolution thing, I think that that can be applied to India and Russia. in relation to China. You know what I mean? Like if you were to kind of be a little bit looser in the definitions of like what is reformism, what is revolution, I think China is that like spearhead, right?
Mm.
They are that global vanguard of the global proletariat, and along with that change, it can have, it's like a boat going through the river, and it has wakes behind it, and sends these like shock waves. And I think that India and Russia are going to have these like massive shock waves hitting them. They already do, but like as far as BRICS is concerned, as this like international coalition of countries that are anti-imperialist, as anti-American, you know,
Mhm.
economic hegemony is concerned. I think that ultimately is where I'm at. I think, you know,
Mm.
if that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense. They're also gonna like India already has a very very well known tradition of socialism. Like
Oh
it
yeah,
has, there are areas within India that are governed
Mm-hmm.
by communists.
yeah. There's like
Like
the Naxalites and a few others,
Mm-hmm.
right?
well,
Um,
Kerala. Kerala is one of the main ones.
We don't
yeah.
we don't
Um,
actually support the Naxalites here because they're Maoists.
Oh yeah. I think that's fun to read. I think Anuradha Gandhi.
Mm-hmm.
She was, I don't remember if she was an Naxalite or not, but she was an Indian Maoist, and she wrote a book, the philosophical trends in the history of feminism or something like that.
It might
It's a
be
really good book, and I highly recommend it.
is she related to Gandhi?
No, 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 different Gandhi.
Oh,
I think it's spelled with a Y instead of an I at the end.
right.
who's
Anuradha.
there's also like man, Anurati Roy. I don't know who she is, but I know she's also an influential figure that I keep hearing her name. And there was like this episode of I think it was TrueAnon forever ago that I listened to it, and they had like a member of the Naxalites on there describing like what it's actually like being in like one of those Maoist militia bands. And I'm joking when I say we don't support the Naxalites because they're Maoists. Um, like I actually think they're cool as fuck, and I support them. I just think it's a shame that they don't support the existing socialist countries like China or like
Right.
they would call us revisionists. Like they would hate us and like I don't know laugh at us because one of us for one because we're podcasters like justified like you should
Totally understandable.
because they're wearing sandals and carrying AK-47s like you should fucking laugh at us but also like just because we support existing socialism like China and they would be like no that's fucking revisionist you dogs like stop being running dogs of imperialism whatever they would say like you know so
Yeah. Many contradictions.
you
Many
guys want
such
to talk
cases.
about Nigeria?
Oh yeah.
I don't know anything about Nigeria.
You don't have to. I prepared this thing. So what I did was I asked DeepSeek to give us a brief summary of like colonialism in Nigeria from early European contact up until independence. So I could do like a sort of callback segment to what we used to do on the old True Crimes of the Empire podcast. So I'm going to read through some of this stuff and you guys can sit back and just let me do this. And we can all learn about Nigeria and get some context for why Trump is claiming Christians are being persecuted, maybe genocided in Nigeria. So this is the
All right.
timeline. So pre-colonial contact and the slave trade era. 1472, Portuguese explorers are the first Europeans to reach the Nigerian coast, establishing trade initially in goods, later dominantly in slaves. This is another familiar story. We've heard exactly that, like in the DRC. 16th to 19th centuries, the transatlantic slave trade dominates the European activity. Coastal kingdoms like Bani, Calabari, and Lagos grow powerful as major slave ports. Britain becomes the dominant European power in the region. 1807, Britain abolishes the slave trade for its citizens, shifting focus towards, quote, legitimate commerce, palm oil, timber, and ivory, and anti-slavery patrols. So, and as we all know, like,
Legitimate, yeah, legitimate commerce, different kinds of exploitation. Like instead of slavery, what we're doing instead is just paying people slavery wages.
mm,
But like that's fucking hell.
yeah, still
Same
employing
shit, different
children,
ass.
still, brutally exploitative, but just not with the, I guess, with the veneer of payment. So,
Mm.
so the British conquest and pacification, mid 19th century, 1903. Uh, so yeah. Oh, I always forget that like when they say 19th century, that means the 1800s. So mid 19th century to 1903. 1861, Lagos is annexed as a British crown colony, establishing the first formal colonial foothold. This was primarily to suppress the slave trade and secure commercial interests. 1844 to 45, or sorry, 1884 to 85, The Berlin Conference formalizes the scramble for Africa. Britain claims the area around the Niger River, and Sir George Goldie's Royal Niger Company is granted a charter to administer the Niger Delta and hinterland. In 1886, the Royal Niger Company, the RNC, is chartered, administering territories through aggressive treaties and military force, often deceiving local rulers. Nah, they would never. 1897, the Benin expedition leads to the sack and looting of the Kingdom of Benin. The Oba is exiled, and Benin is brought under British control. 1900, the British government revokes the RNC's charter due to its inefficiency and brutality. So brutality is not efficient. Who would have thought? On January 1st, 1900, the Protectorate of Northern Nigeria and Protectorate of Southern Nigeria are proclaimed under Sir Frederick Lugard and Sir Ralph Moore, respectively. In 1903, the Sokoto Caliphate, the last major indigenous power, is defeated after the Battle of Kano and Sokoto. This completes the military conquest of the territory that would become Nigeria, and amalgamation and indirect rule from 1900 to 1945. In 1914, Lord Lugard amalgamates the protectorates of northern and southern Nigeria and the colony of Lagos into the single colony and protectorate of, quote, Nigeria. This was primarily for administrative convenience and to use the budget surplus from the south to fund the north. 1914 to 1960, the policy of indirect rule is implemented, especially in the north. British officials ruled through, quote, native authorities, existing emirs and chiefs, preserving traditional structures but subverting them to British control. It was less successful in the more fragmented societies of the southeast. So again, that's the exact same thing we've seen them do over and over again. They find like friendly puppets or install them if they have to, and then they control everyone through the intermediaries like that. So 1922, the Clifford Constitution introduces the first elected representation, though very limited, in the Lagos and Calabar councils. The National Congress of British West Africa inspires early nationalist sentiment. 1939, southern Nigeria is split into western and eastern regions for easier administration, creating a three-region structure, north, west, and east. 1944, the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, NCNC, is founded by Nnamdi Azikiwe, becoming the first major nationalist party. In 1945, a nationwide general strike marks a turning point in mass mobilization against colonial rule. Hell yeah, you love to see that. Decolonization and the path to independence. This is from 1946 to 1960. So we've got an upturn here. It's looking up, folks. The Richards Constitution establishes a central legislative council and reinforces regional divisions, aiming to foster unity but instead strengthening regionalism. 1951, the McPherson Constitution, that sounds very white, I'm suspicious, introduces a quasi-federal system with greater regional autonomy and elected majorities in regional legislatures. 1953, the crisis over the motion for independence proposed by Anthony Anahuro exposes deep north-south divisions. The Kano riots of 1953 underscore ethnic tensions. So again, these are all like, we would probably spend like half an episode on like each of these events if we were still doing the old show. 1954, the Littleton Constitution formally establishes a federal system with three powerful regions, north, west, east, and a federal government in Lagos. This cemented regional identities and parties. Northern People's Congress, NPC, that's an unfortunate name.
Yeah, it is. That's rough. That's rough. It's like that thing I sent in our group chat that was like Canadian Pacific. The Canadian Pacific.
Oh no. Oh no.
It was like CP train goes through. And I was like, oh no.
I saw it and I was like, that can't be.
Don't abbreviate
can't,
Canadian Pacific.
That can't be real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Northern People's Congress, or NPC, led by Sir Amadou Bello. Action Group, AG, led by Chief Obafemi Awolowo in the west, and NCNC led by Nnamdi Azikiwe in the east. In 1956, the eastern and western regions gained self-government. The north follows in 1959. In 1959, federal elections are held in preparation for independence. The NPC wins a plurality, forming a coalition with the NCNC. October 1st, 1960, Nigeria gains full independence from Britain, with Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa NPC as the first prime minister. Azikiwe became governor general. So they had some kind of like coalition party, I guess, of the two most popular winning parties. So they got independence in 1960. That's cool. Key colonial legacy issues at independence: artificial borders, uniting over 250 ethnic groups within arbitrary borders; regionalism and ethnic politics. The tri-region structure hardened Hausa Fulani, Yoruba, and Igbo identities as the basis for political competition. Uneven development. The North was deliberately less exposed to Western education and economic infrastructure, creating a development gap, and a federal system with weak centrifugal forces. The stage was set for future regional conflict, culminating in a civil war from 1967 to 1970. So that's just the timeline of how they got independence. That only goes up to 1970, and then I asked DeepSeek once again to give us an outline of Nigeria's history from independence to the present day, structured to provide context for the complex religious dynamics that underpin claims of Christian persecution, which is like, this goes on for like just about as long as that other thing, if we want to continue. But if you guys are getting bored, I can move on to something else. But
what's Trump going on about with Christians being persecuted in Nigeria? What's he saying?
I mean, it's basically, I'm just like reading through here. It involves Boko Haram. So I'm going to assume that in the next 50 years since 1970, that this civil war and this ethnic conflict ripe environment created the conditions for someone like Boko Haram to take power. I'm assuming the West was probably involved in putting the most reactionary and brutal powers into, into center stage, so that they could control the resources. And then now they're dealing with, of course, they're going to like accentuate if there's some kind of Christian minority there that's being persecuted, even if it's not like the worst, like the most persecuted group there, even if there's like some kind of horrific thing happening just across the board, they're going to say like, it'll be very reflective of like what you're going to talk about later with Bondi Beach.
But just call it Bondi Beach. Good Lord.
What is it called?
It's called Bondi.
Oh, sorry.
Bondi.
If I see someone with that name here in the U.S., it's Bondi. Like we have Pam Bondi. She's like in the government. Like,
is Bondi a name?
Yeah, Pam Bondi. She's like isn't she like one of Trump's like blonde bombshells that he just puts in front of the press corps?
I totally thought Bondi was how it was said too.
That's so funny.
I'm a lousy American.
You seppos.
The way you guys pronounce Melbourne is very funny as well. When you're like Melbourne.
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 It's how it's how it's spelled, man. O-R-U.
Don't fucking talk to me about how shit's spelled. Fucking you.
Listen, we all speak English here, okay? We can all agree English sucks.
You do not speak English. You speak American English. You speak fucking bullshit, mate. That's I speak real. I speak Australian. I speak Australian, mate. But like, you guys, how do you say aluminium? You guys say aluminum, don't you?
Oh yeah, we
That's
say aluminum.
crazy.
Yeah.
Aluminium.
That's crazy. Aluminium. That's how it's pronounced.
Aluminium.
It's how it's aluminium. Yeah.
You sound so educated.
You're definitely like adding in that I at the end.
No, our spelling's different. You just have you created an Americanized spelling. Like you dropped the U from color and a bunch of other things.
Oh,
it's
true.
so weird. I don't know why.
Oh yeah.
So wait, you guys actually do put an extra I in aluminum at the end there?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Wow.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah, we do. That's what we like to do. We love those extra letters.
All right, well, I'll read through some of this as well, and we can see if we can get some more context for why Trump is claiming that Christians are being genocided. I would love to see a white genocide somewhere, but I just don't believe that it's actually happening. But
No, never fucking happens. We're going to talk about Bondi as well soon, guys. So if you leave, I'm going to be mad.
Oh yeah, we're going to go till at least I would hope for another hour.
Yeah.
I think we have plenty to talk about. So the First Republic and the Civil War from 1960 to 1970 in Nigeria. Independence from Britain, of course, in 1960. A fragile federation of three regions, North, East, and West, dominated by ethnic-based parties. 1966.
The worst kind of federation.
I mean, yeah, you don't really want ethnic majorities or like just ethnic tensions in your governmental structure. It's usually like a recipe for disaster. 1966, two successive military coups, also usually not good. The first, January, led largely by Igbo officers, killed prominent leaders. The second, in July, northern-led counter-coup led to pogroms in the north. So yeah, you don't coup the coup in July, like two in a year, 6 months apart. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have put. But see, that's the thing. You don't like the U.S. In a country that you like and want to do well. You don't want two coups. Like
True.
you just
True.
want one good one, right? Like
Yeah.
1967. Although that's the thing. It seems like what's happening here is because they're ethnic based. They get one, it doesn't work out well, and then they get the opposing one, and it's like we also probably wouldn't want that because imagine like what a liberal coup. Ugh. Ugh, like a Pelosi coup, and then like what the reactionary, like the swing back of the pendulum, and you get like a more fascist Trump MAGA coup. Like go fuck yourselves. Like ugh,
Isn't that basically the guy in France? Uh, what's his name? Why am I thinking
Mélenchon
of?
or
Macron or
he's the guy they have
Oh,
Ma-
oh shit!
Macaroon?
Did the live just end? What happened?
on Instagram. It may have. I may have to
Yeah.
start it again. Hold on. Give me a second there. Go ahead and just talk for a second while I do that.
Yeah, I think what wasn't Macaroon the guy who was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have an election," and then he was like, "Sorry, just kidding, no election," or like whatever the results were, they were like,
Oh,
"Fuck it,
I mean
we're not gonna
Macron might
like
have done
allow
that.
it." I feel like I remember something like that happening, but I could be wrong, as I am very often.
Oh well, okay. So what happened in France, as I remember, was that there was like this like the left party got like the popular vote or something, but it wasn't like an actual vote. It was like some kind of like preparatory vote or some bullshit. And then Macron
Right.
just chose to instead dissolve the whole government, and then that ended up in the long term giving the power to the right somehow.
Right, right. Yeah, I think that's much closer to reality than whatever the hell I was thinking.
Um, but it's I mean
Did you
also
fix the stream?
that's like typical for just like liberals. I'm still doing it. I'm just like trying to
Yeah.
multitask here.
I think the idea of a liberal coup is really funny. Um,
Wouldn't that be
it's
great?
like you
Well,
guys ever play
the
Secret Hitler?
French, the French Revolution.
That is yes, that is true. That is a liberal
Like,
coup.
but when Napoleon Bonaparte also took power, that was also a liberal coup. So
Yeah.
Napoleon Bonaparte was like the uber libtard, the king of the libtards.
Emperor of
Yeah.
liberals.
Well, liber is you dirty liver.
You liber.
Liber. That's a new. That should be a new like slur for liberals. Call them
A liber.
libers. Yeah,
Oh my god. That's too close to something else that I just realized.
cracker. I
I
know.
mean, liberal is bad enough that like liberals don't even own up to being liberals. They just like they say that they are something else, and that they just are holding their nose and voting for Democrats because what else can you do? Because you are not personally starting the revolution for them. That's what they say.
I'm
Yeah.
not a liberal. I'm a Democrat.
I also really like that I think it's really funny how they're like, oh, I just hold my nose and vote for the Democrats in a country where voting isn't like mandatory.
Hmm.
Like you
Yeah.
could always just not vote.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah, I
you
do it
don't
all the
have to
time.
You don't. Yeah, you don't have to actually participate in the American electoral system at all ever.
It's not like participating in it really it does anything anyway, you know? Like
Well, yeah.
participating in the electoral system is just going down to your local library and throwing in a piece of paper for like city councilman,
Yeah.
you know? It doesn't fucking matter.
Oh, someone on Instagram just said, "I'm not a liberal. I'm an anarchist." It's like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
correct, correct.
Yeah, there you go.
I also wanted
Yeah,
to shout
uh,
out Ben Norton, that episode that I listened to today and then shared in the Discord. It was so fucking good. Like Ben Norton, he's just like one of the goats. I just love listening to his stuff so
I love
much.
him.
But the episode in particular today's obviously the 15th of December. The one that he was talking about like various different topics. He was talking about Chile. He was talking about how that guy is literally the grandson of a Nazi, and he praises Pinochet. Um, Gonna be a really bad time for people in Chile. Like, I'm sorry, you guys. The U.S. unfortunately got their puppet in. It seems. But he was also talking about
Yeah.
how that guy was Oh, he was talking about Gabriel Boric, who was the leader in. That's what it was. Was Colombia? I believe he was the leader in, and he was just like a disappointment for years and years. And he was referencing like the New York Times was saying like, oh, he was supposed to be like the leftist hope or whatever. Like, what happened? And it's like, if the New York Times is saying that like you didn't achieve any leftist stuff, like he basically got in on like the promise of being like a young, uh, what do you call it? Like Ben Norton called him the Pete Buttigieg. That was like the most apt
Oh
comparison. He's like
yeah.
he's the Pete Buttigieg of Colombia. So like um, he
He's
just
he's a he's a gay imperialist. It's fine.
he totally
You
flopped,
know?
and like people are acting surprised, and it's like, well, what do you expect to happen? Like this is just another shit lib. And then he dropped the bomb at the end, which was like he was a young anarchist. When he was young, he organized with like the anarchist crowd,
Uh-huh.
and like and that's why he just had no actual principles or direction whatsoever. He was just like, oh, I'm anti whatever, man. Like,
Yeah.
it was so
You
good.
know, I remember my anarchist days. I remember my days as an anarchist where I was like, you know what? No government is better than any government. And then I realized that that was fucking stupid.
I actually I never had an anarchism phase. I always thought it was stupid. So,
You started off on a better position than I did.
well,
Uh,
I was just like a standard libtard for a while.
Mm.
Well, I was a kid. When I was a kid, I didn't understand politics. Then when I turned like 18, I was very like socially conservative, but like economically, I was super like left wing.
mhm.
But that was left wing in the terms of like wanting welfare and stuff like that. So not really left wing at all.
That's such a
Um,
weird. That's always the opposite here. Like,
Yeah, that's what it was for me.
yeah, being libertarian, libertarian. It's always libertarian. Like people
mhm.
becoming, they go through a libertarian phase, and then they like wake up to like reality.
Yeah. I feel like
Um,
being a libertarian, like as far as like when I was younger, like fucking high school, you know, like oh yeah, no, I think gay people are cool, but like I think we should balance the budget, you know, like I'm just speaking in
Yeah.
buzzwords,
No, usually
like none of
libertarians
it's
them
like
like
actually mean anything.
it's usually socially liberal, which means they are cool with gay people enough that they like usually like they just like gay women. They definitely don't like trans people,
Right.
and they like weed. But then they want like to balance the budget. They're like fiscally conservative because they want to be like they just don't want welfare for like the poor's or the people of color that they don't like. And that's like the
Yeah.
libertarians here. But like Jared, you're a
Yeah.
little
So
different because you came from like a country with social welfare already, and you were like, oh, this is actually really good and functional. We should probably just expand that more. But you came up Catholic, so you probably had some like socially conservative beliefs, which is
yeah,
understandable. You know,
because I mean,
they beat that into you.
I, I still am Catholic. Like I go to church and stuff,
Yeah, but I
but
don't think
like
you're trying to enforce or even have any like socially conservative beliefs on anybody. Like,
no,
Well,
and I don't even have any of those socially conservative
yeah,
beliefs. I disagree with Catholic Church's stance on a lot of things, but ultimately, uh, I'm a Christian, so I'm like, I still go to church, and like, I hate minorities, and what else?
what?
What else do Christians do? No, I was like,
Hell yeah,
it's
brother.
yeah, but I think it actually, by being my background as a Catholic and a Christian actually led me to becoming a communist,
Oh
largely
yeah.
when I kind of read more, like when I actually read the Bible and like read the gospel, and I was like, hold up, Jesus is just a communist, dude. Like,
Yes.
it's like,
Yep.
what the hell? I was like, what, bro? That's
Dude,
crazy.
dude, I remember like going through that same phase really like talking to a bunch of I would have conversations with my family, right? Like arguments with them like, well, but Jesus said blessed are the meek and stuff like this. And they're like, "Yeah, but that doesn't apply to like black people." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
the fuck.
Fucking hell.
you know? Um it's just the same sort of thing, right? Where you actually look at what what he was really saying, you know. And I'm not going to proselytize or anything, but like, you know, talking to modern Christians who are like mega church Christians who, especially like Protestants in the United States and like they tithe and all this other shit. It's like, okay, um, you guys would not give a fuck about homeless people
Yep.
if they came up to your door and said, "Hey, please, can I have some food?" You
Mm.
know?
Someone in the comments on Instagram said liberation theology. So yeah, that's another key
Yeah,
thing.
Right.
yeah,
Liberation theology, that was a lot of that was very mostly Catholics because it's in Latin America. So
Right.
what are we supposed to call it now? I don't know what the correct
It's
term
just
is.
another part of, I don't know, South. Is
South
it
America? I don't know.
is Latin America, South America? Latin America is like, is it Middle America?
No, Middle America is the beautiful white.
Oh, it's the Midwest. That's the Midwest.
Yeah, the beautiful,
What's
white.
the Middle East?
I mean, I think there's still Central America, right? Like that's still a thing. Yeah, Central America, South America. I saw a meme the other day. It was like, "This is America," and it had all of Canada, the U.S., South and Central America, and they said, "This is the United States," and it had just the 48, and then Australia. I mean, not Australia, Alaska and Hawaii. So, probably Australia too. Soon enough, you bitches.
Australia is a state of America.
Yeah.
Like we're a fucking just like Israel, just like Canada, just like the United Kingdom. We're all American client states that foot soldiers, dogs of empire, fucking scum. I hate it. I hate it here. Talking to cunts in Australia, right? Who will be like, they'll go off about like Chinese foreign investment in Australia when the largest, they'll be like, oh, China owns all the houses, China owns all the mines, China owns this, China owns that. And it's like number one, yeah, it'd be good if they did. Number two,
better than BlackRock.
They don't own any of it. In fact, the biggest foreign investor in Australia is America, and all the houses are being bought up by American investment firms. Our mines are all owned by American firms. All our natural resources are taken by American companies and sold for profits. Like it's America, and people are just like going fucking, oh, it's China. It's not. Belgium has more foreign investment in Australia than China does. China's like, it's in the top 10 foreign investors, but it's like 7 or 8. America's number 1. The UK is number 2. Belgium is like 4 or 5 or something. Like it's before China. Belgium. What the fuck? I don't even know what Belgium is. It's like one of those made-up European countries. Like, what the fuck? It's like,
unpopular opinion, but I think China exploiting people in the West and in the imperial core is actually a good thing.
Yeah, it's like retribution.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, yeah, you're getting fucked.
all their, you know how China's building all their cities and stuff, like for their population expansion. All their steel comes from Australia, like to build those cities. Most of the resources involved in that are dug out of the ground here, and sold to China by U.S. companies. Yeah, because we have the most iron in the world, like the highest reserves of iron ore, and uranium, which is fun.
Even more than Africa? That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Speaking of Africa, I totally forgot that when the stream got interrupted, I had been reading about the 2 coups in a year in Nigeria. Oh, yeah. So let me just blow through some of this real quick, and then we'll get to Bondi Beach, and we'll end the episode with that. So there were the 2 successive military coups in 1966, 1967 to 70, the Nigerian Civil War or the Biafran War. And I remember that was like a stereotypical thing. Like parents of like my dad's generation, like my grandparents would say to my dad, like, "Hey, eat your food. There were children starving in Biafra." That was like the place that might have been like a headline somewhere in the news here in the U.S. that like Biafra was going through a rough time, but no mention that it was because of the U.S. or like the West or anything like that.
Of course,
they just can't figure it out over there. What can those poor, those Africans? There's just something wrong with them. They can't figure out stability like us.
It's always like they're corrupt. That's the thing I've heard from relatives. It's like, oh, it's just such a basket. It's so complex. It's such a basket case. They're all corrupt. And it's
so
like,
nuanced.
Geez, I wonder why corruption is an issue over there.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's because they've got like a puppet. I wonder if it's because their governments were set up by Western powers.
Oil companies and mineral companies. Like.
Yeah, I wonder if that's got something to do with it. And it's like, no, I think it's because Africans are inherently corrupt people.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool.
What can you do?
You're just a racist. Yeah, you're just a fucking racist. Like,
yep.
So the Nigerian Civil War. The war, fueled by ethnic and religious tensions, though primarily political and economic, resulted in an estimated 1 to 3 million deaths. I love that you can also have a 2 million people gap. Like, you just have no idea. Like, we just don't even know. Like, it's Africa. Who knows in the West? Who cares? Mostly from starvation. The federal government, predominantly northern Muslim-led military, wins. So then, Section 2, military rule, oil, and Sharia tensions, 1970 to 1999. The 1970s to the 90s, alternating periods of military dictatorship and brief democratic interludes. Oil wealth becomes central to the economy but fuels corruption and centralizes power. 1979 to 83, the Second Republic under President Shehu Shagari. Rising religious tensions begin to surface publicly. 1986, Nigeria joins the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the OIC, a move protested by many Christians as they shift toward Islamization. Okay, so this begins to explain like why.
Yeah. I was just thinking, man, hell yeah, Sharia law.
Yeah, right. 1990s, the rise of radical Islamic groups and ethnic militias. 1999 is a pivotal year. A transition to democracy occurs, and 12 northern states expand Sharia or Islamic law from personal status to full criminal law. This triggers violent clashes between Christians and Muslims, notably the Jos Plateau conflicts, establishing a pattern of sectarian violence. The Fourth Republic and rising insecurity from 1999 to present. This period is defined by a continuous but troubled democracy with escalating security crises that have a strong religious dimension. A. The Boko Haram insurgency from 2009 to present. Founded in 2002, Boko Haram, which roughly translates to Western education is forbidden, launched a full-scale insurgency. I know, right, dude?
Wait, is that actually what it translates to?
I mean, Google it for yourself. You guys can check it out in a separate tab.
That's awesome.
Boko Haram, which
Western
roughly
education is forbidden.
launched a full-scale insurgency in 2009 to create an Islamic state. Targeting initially state institutions, it increasingly targeted churches, Christian villages, and schools. The 2014 Chibok schoolgirls kidnapping, many of whom were Christian, gained global attention. Okay, so this is setting the stage for why Trump and the all the Westwards, all the Deus Vult people can like fearmonger about Nigeria. Geography: concentrated in the Northeast, a region with a significant Christian minority amidst a Muslim majority. Its violence is explicitly religious and anti-Western. B. The farmer-herder conflict in the Middle Belt, a complex crisis in Nigeria's Middle Belt, the country's religious and ethnic fault line, where the predominantly Muslim North meets the predominantly Christian South. Drivers: climate change, desertification, population growth, and expansion of farmland have reduced grazing routes for predominantly Muslim Fulani herders, bringing them into conflict with predominantly Christian farmers of various ethnic groups. Religiousization: what began as a resource conflict has become heavily religionized. Attacks are often framed along religious lines, with Christian communities alleging systematic targeting and jihadist infiltration among herder groups. Claims often disputed by the government and Muslim groups. This conflict has caused thousands of deaths and is a primary source of, quote, persecution claims. The rise of banditry and kidnapping in the Northwest and North Central. Criminal gangs or bandits carry out mass kidnappings for ransom, especially from schools. While primarily economically motivated, they operate in religiously mixed areas, and Christian schools and communities often feel disproportionately targeted, seeing it as a religiously motivated assault on education. And D. Separatist agitation in the Southeast. The indigenous people of Biafra, the IPOB, and its militant wing, the Eastern Security Network, the ESN, seek succession for the Igbo-dominated, predominantly Christian Southeast. Clashes with security forces are severe. While primarily ethno-nationalist, the movement draws on historical grievances from the Civil War, which had a religious component. And 4. Political context and the 2025 claim. Power politics. Since 1999, the presidency has often rotated between a northern Muslim and a southern Christian, a fragile, informal arrangement. Perceptions of bias in federal appointments, security force responses, and resource allocation fuel distrust. The 2025 claim context. Claims of Christian persecution in 2025 would be situated within this ongoing multi-layered crisis. Boko Haram's continued, though diminished, attacks on Christian communities in the Northeast. Intensifying violence in the Middle Belt, where farmer-herder clashes are perceived by Christian leaders as a form of religious cleansing or land grabbing. Mass kidnappings from schools and villages in the Northwest or North Central, where victims are often Christian. Government response: widespread perception among many Christian communities and leaders that the federal government, historically led by northern Muslims for most of the Fourth Republic, though currently led by President Bola Tinubu, a southern Muslim, is ineffective, complacent, or tacitly sympathetic to the Muslim side of these conflicts. This perceived impunity is central to the persecution narrative. And international advocacy. These grievances are amplified by powerful evangelical Christian lobbies within Nigeria and internationally, who frame the crisis in stark religious terms to mobilize support. So yeah, they're exaggerating it like we assumed before we even read through any of that. Like
Yeah, sounds about right.
cherry picking.
Um, yeah, cherry picking and like um, overblowing a lot of what's going on, and I feel like
Leaving out the West role to begin with, like
yeah, like I think a lot of people, especially in the United States, just to kind of compare, a lot of people in the United States, a lot of Christians in the United States feel like they're oppressed. They feel like they're under this like oppressive state of like anti-Christian, secularism and
I
stuff like
wish,
that.
man.
And
Don't
it's
you
like,
wish?
like
The war on Christmas, bro. It's real.
yeah, the war on Christmas. Don't say Happy Holidays to me.
Yeah,
Um,
Write
and
Donald
it's-
Trump on the Starbucks cup. Write it on the cup.
Write Charlie Kirk on the Starbucks cup.
Yeah.
Um, it's the same shit, man. Like, and I think it's interesting because like a lot of Christians, and Jared, whenever I say like when I generalize Christians, I'm not referring to you.
We're talking
I just
about the
mean, like-
piggy ones, the subhuman, the
Yeah.
the goy cattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's like
Can't say that.
most of us
Say whatever the fuck I want.
I just mean like I think that a lot of Christians have it like indoctrinated into them in churches and like mega churches that they are part of like a special group, right? It's kind of part of modern Christianity and its like capitalist religious form, that you are part of a special group, you're exceptional, and you are being persecuted even if you're a dominant group. you know it's the same sort of shit that like Zionism is, right?
Mm.
It's on the same level, I think.
Speaking
that's
of,
also prevalent among. That's also a little bit prevalent among Catholics, but not as much as not as much
Yeah.
as the proddies. Prots.
how have I never heard of that? Is that a thing? Protties or prots? Like you
The
guys?
Trotskyists.
Prots. Yeah, it's just short for Protestant.
That's so good.
Yeah. It's a slur.
Trotskyists. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Trotskyists.
Trotskyists.
Trotsky, Protestant Trotskyists.
I mean, think of it. Like
Uh,
Protestants, they create their own division. They are the trots of Christianity. Like
It's the same fucking thing, man. Are Catholics the MLs? of
prots and
Christianity?
trots.
yeah.
I mean, apparently, look at Jarrod. Like, look at him.
Yeah,
I'd
there
say
you go.
I'd say if you're gonna pick which Christian denominations have the most the higher possibility of like being even remotely left wing, it's probably Catholicism, but like outside of the institution of the Catholic Church itself, because obviously that's always been a tool of
Mm.
you know what I mean, like the Vatican and like the institution of the church, but like Catholics as individuals often like do cool things like liberation theology. It's kind of
Yeah, that makes
we-
sense.
yeah, it's very complex. Well, it's not that complex. It's just like,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, it's like a lot of people in like Mexico are Catholics, right?
True.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of people in like global South countries end up being Catholics if they were originally colonized by some like Catholic European power, or
Yeah.
like Spain, for example.
yeah, and I've always found it really interesting how like Catholicism was a tool. I mean, it still is a tool of oppression, and it was a tool of oppression in colonizing the um, South America or Latin America, but then that kind of got turned around a bit in the 20th century with like liberation theology,
Mm.
Yeah.
which was prevalent in a lot of countries and is still pretty prevalent today. I mean, like, what's his face, the previous Pope, like, the Argentina's dictatorship, the previous Pope helped smuggle people out of Argentina.
Yep.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. But also apparently there were a couple of priests that were disappeared by the dictatorship, and he didn't step in as much as he could have, apparently. So, but I don't know the full context of that.
I mean,
All I know is he drove some people out of the country, out of the dictatorship, which is cool. I like that.
when you get to the end of the Gladio book that I was reading through, it basically just is that like the Gladio Pope gets installed, and that was like Pope Francis, the one who was like Pope in like the 90s when I was like a Catholic. And, like,
Francis.
Or wait, was it
The
France?
90s,
It was like the bald headed. They're all bald headed, but it's like the one that was like
Benedict.
I can't remember. Fuck, I'm just not a good
Pope
enough Catholic.
Benedict.
It probably is
Pope
Benedict.
Benedict was the Pope before Francis, I think. And the Pope before him was John Paul II, who was like a
No, it was John
uh,
Paul. It was John Paul. That's the one.
JP2. JP2 was like, he did Vatican II, but he also was like responsible for being like a rabid anti-communist and
Yeah,
also like
that's someone. He's the
helped,
Gladio Pope.
yeah, in particular he helped Poland have a anti-communist revolution.
Yeah. But anyway, speaking of all this religious exceptionalism, I had said that I wanted to address like the sort of mini conflict we had in the Discord, but I think it will just tie right into this Bondi Beach thing. So, Jarrod, I'm going to hand it to you for the rest of the last half hour we have here. So, if you want to just talk about the Bondi Beach thing to whatever extent you were able to without incriminating yourself or getting the feds knocking on your door over there in Australia. Do you want to like summarize the events in just like sort of a news way, and then we can like talk about it from there without putting you in too much danger?
Yeah, I can summarize it with just a basic news article because I'm sure the death toll has unfortunately gone higher. Bondi Beach shooting. Let's go on the news. I'll just
It's
find an ABC article.
It's funny the other day, like
Um,
I didn't read through the discussion that was going on in Discord, but I had noticed that like it centered around the idea of like Jewish exceptionalism and like the way you were talking about things, you were just like you were definitely not saying anything that I thought was anti-Semitic, but
Oh yeah.
and I don't think anyone was calling you anti-Semitic, but it seemed like the people who were arguing with you in the Discord were verging on that, and they were sort of saying that you were tiptoeing into an area that seemed like it might verge on anti-Semitic or whatever. Like, again, this is just from my skimming of the thing because I just didn't want to get too involved if I could avoid it. Like, you guys can handle the modding of
it's
those kind of things, I think, on your own. But like, I just
so what I think what it was. So for context, is I was just saying that I am sick of I'm just sick of uh, this double standard treatment as if Jewish people are better than everyone else when they're not. They're the same as everyone else.
mm.
All peoples are completely equal.
I
So
was gonna just
I
like
was
stay right out front just to like steel man any of your arguments. Like, I'm anti-Semitic. I don't give a shit. Like, and 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 by that I mean I like if I meet somebody who has like a
Mike,
Jewish
you're gonna
last
get me.
no,
You're
listen,
gonna
no,
get me arrested.
dude, I'm in the
Mike,
U.S. I
come
can say
on.
You're in
whatever I want.
trouble.
We got the First Amendment over here. Like,
Yeah, but
Oh
I'm
my
on
God.
here. Anything you say reflects on me.
oh, okay. But well, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm going
so
to clarify it because I'm going to say
yeah,
by
clarify.
saying I am anti-Semitic, I mean that like I have this now bias where if I meet somebody who has like a Jewish last name, I until they say that they are not, I'm kind of suspecting that they're going to be a bit of a Zionist and they're going to be okay or at least defensive of the killing of children, of like innocent Palestinians because they support some kind of Jewish exceptionalist, expansionist, colonialist state, like an apartheid state, and I think that's really fucked up. And I hate that like Zionism and the Jewish state of Israel that it claims to be like has put that into the ether, like just into the culture now. That like that's just kind of a default position for a lot of Jewish people, and that Jewish exceptionalism, like you describe it, is, like you were perfectly describing it the other day in the Discord, is a thing. And so, like by the definition, and even by my own admission, is that like I have like a bias against Jewish people until they explain to me that they are explicitly anti-Zionist. Like that falls under anti-Semitism. Now, I don't hate Jewish people. I don't have any kind of like hatred towards them or their religion or anything like that. But like under the legal definition, and then also just under like I don't know, like our definition as leftists, like the fact that I just have like a slight distrust of Jewish people until they tell me that they are like, I guess you could say it's one of the good ones, meaning like an anti-Zionist Jew. Like that's that is like a vague anti-Semitism. Like that's one that I think a lot of people on the actual left would also exhibit. Like you're going to be suspicious of people who are like in Zionist circles unless they tell you like, hey, I don't actually agree with Zionism. I don't actually agree with this wholesale slaughter, genocide, and the actual Holocaust that is happening today of this hundreds of thousands of people. And that's what you were saying the other day, but you weren't even saying like I'm anti-Semitic. Like you weren't trying to be like a fucking edgelord streamer. Like I'm like, I think it's funny to like just say things like that on a stream because I know everybody's so careful on a stream to not say something that they will get clipped out of context. But I don't care. Clip it and then come look here for the context. Come check it out.
Yeah.
I've been trying to reframe. Recently, I've been trying to reframe Zionism. And I think everyone listening should start reframing Zionism as an ideology. You need to start referring to it as a Nazi ideology. You need to refer to it as Nazism. You also need to be referring to the Gaza genocide. Instead of calling it the Gaza genocide, you should call it the Gaza Holocaust, like Norman Finkelstein does. Norman Finkelstein, who's the son of a Holocaust survivor, refers to it as the Gaza Holocaust because that's what it is. At least 500,000 people are dead. I've seen estimates of 680,000 people killed. I've seen estimates of like 800,000 people killed. I think it's probably somewhere around 500,000 and 680,000 people killed in Gaza at least. I'm not sure if it's 800,000 because that would be like 50, almost 50% of people in Gaza. I'm not sure if it's that high, but it doesn't matter if it's 680,000 or if it's 800,000 or if it's a million. It was wrong if it was one Palestinian, and instead it's hundreds of thousands. It's really fucked. So in the context of that, we have the Bondi Beach shooting, which I'm sure everyone's aware of, the Bondi Beach terrorist attack. And let me preface what I'm about to say with the fact that I think it's bad and awful to massacre a bunch of people. Fucking obviously, I shouldn't even have to make that as it like a caveat that it's bad to massacre a bunch of random people at a beach. Although it doesn't seem like it was necessarily completely random. We don't actually know what the motivations of the shooters are yet, so I'll get into that. But it's definitely, obviously, there were so many people around that whether it was random or not, they've killed a lot and injured a lot of innocent people, including a 10-year-old girl. They killed a 10-year-old girl, which is really sad. So what we know so far about the Bondi Beach shooting, 15 victims and one of the two gunmen are confirmed dead after a mass shooting at Bondi Beach. Another 38 people, including 2 police officers, were injured and have been taken to hospitals across the city. Apparently those 2 police are in critical condition. Let's have a look here. I don't know. I'm sure everyone's seen the video of the shooting. One of the shooters was actually disarmed by a man named, what was the man's name? But he's a Muslim guy. He's a Muslim man.
Was he Ahmed Al-Ahmed, I think was his name?
I think that's his name. Let me quickly. Yes, Ahmed Al-Ahmed is his name. And he...
It's like the scariest name for white people.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
If you see his... And that was an unfortunate... that was very unfortunate for the people who are trying to spin this massacre in bad faith to demonize Muslim people, when one of the guy responsible for saving probably
literally the good guy is a Muslim. Like,
he was a Muslim, and he ran up on someone who was armed with a fucking gun and disarmed him and took the gun and pointed it at him. It was actually pretty badass to look at.
It was so badass. It was so cool.
It was so cool. Like,
that guy was a hero.
Ran up on him, took the shotgun, and pointed it straight at him. It was like,
and he didn't even shoot him. He let him go. You know,
no, he didn't shoot him.
Although, it literally is like what you fantasize about in like your daydreams. It's like, yeah, you'd never be able. You'd like trip. You'd like fumble. You'd like, and he just did it. He just actually tackled the guy with like no experience, or whatever. This guy's not a soldier, and like from all accounts, like, I doubt it'll be up after we get off of this stream, but like I saw on Twitter right before we got on here, there was like a video of one of the shooters, and he was like using this bolt action rifle, and it looked
really quickly.
It was so professional. It was just like bap, bap, like so fast.
Yeah. And so yeah, they at least 16 people are dead. It's likely more people are going to die because people are wounded and in hospital. There's 30. What did it say? 38 people, including 2 police officers, in hospital. And so one of the shooters is dead.
38 people and 2 police officers.
No, it's 36 people and 2 people who happen to have a job as a police officer. Yeah.
Sorry. Not trying to snicker like a child, but that's really funny.
Yeah, so it's a father and son duo who did it, and One of them was apparently on an ASIO watch list and was being investigated in 2019 for links to ISIS. I'm sure everyone's aware ISIS is a American slash Israeli puppet
Yep.
organization,
Yep.
basically. So that's a bit sus. As far a lot of people are saying it might be a false flag. I honestly don't agree with that. I don't think this attack was a false flag. I think this is just. I think this is just what happens when you.
Just blowback.
Uh, yeah, this is just imperialist blowback, or imperial boomerang, which is ironic because it's Australia as well. Um, so like it's we've watched a genocide be live streamed for 2 years and hundreds of thousands of people killed, more than half of which are children. Um, what
Babies.
this was, yeah, babies, children, women, the men who have been killed as well. Vast majority of them are not Hamas fighters.
Yeah.
They were civilians. You know, it's we've been watching this genocide unfold for 2 years on social media, and Australia, in particular Sydney. Sydney is one of the most ethnically and culturally diverse cities in Australia, and it has a massive Arab population. It has like close to 100,000 Arabs, like a lot. The city has a population of like 6 million people, 6.5 million, almost seven. I'm pretty sure, which is pretty weird to think about, like because the entire population of Australia is 27 million people, so like just 1/5 of the entire population of this country is in Sydney,
It's nuts.
which is weird. Yeah, it's weird to think about. Um, but like, yeah, so this was inevitable. I'm just surprised it happened in Australia before anywhere else. I
Well, I
just
mean,
think I just think
it did make me think
Muslims
of
and
Christchurch because, like, when you say like this false flag thing, how you don't think that it is, and how it's just like imperial boomerang and stuff. It's like that is so. It's like what's so weird about it is that like everybody says false flag, and I just wonder how much of the false flag narrative is put out there by the government because that's actually useful for them to say like, oh, it's actually like some kind of like nefarious, nebulous thing that we can never really trace. That also seems to involve. It's like
It muddies the discussion.
yeah, we're gonna find out that like these guys were like veterans of some kind, maybe of the IDF or whatever, or like whoever was doing this, like the fact that they were able to use bolt action rifles. It's like if somebody does a mass shooting or something, like wasn't the guy in Christchurch also like a veteran, like somebody who also goes
no,
up? Oh, he
no,
wasn't.
he was a white he was a white Australian for starters,
Oh, okay.
from a rural area. Um, in fact, he's from Grafton. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
I've
okay.
been to Grafton,
I
but
just thought for
it's
some
like
reason he was like already somebody who killed a bunch of women and children, so that's why he did that thing as well. It's
no,
like,
no, he's just a guy who got radicalized online into being a
mm,
Nazi. There's heaps of people like that in Australia, and he went to New Zealand, which has more lax gun laws than Australia. You can actually buy like an AR-15 in New Zealand,
oh wow,
and he committed that massacre with an AR-15.
yeah,
Um, these guys had pump shotguns and bolt actions, and I think there was a bolt action rifle and a pump action
mm,
shotgun. I always thought pump actions were illegal here, but apparently they're not.
mm,
Um, I thought you had that long arm rifles were you had to have a bolt action or a lever action rifle.
mm,
But they're both these shooters are both Australian citizens. And there's not really very much information out about what their motivations were. People are just making a lot of assumptions. Um, Obviously, the far right in Australia, the Nazis, are saying it was, oh, we need to stop immigration, blah blah blah. And it's like, but these guys are Australian citizens.
Yeah.
They had gun licenses. They had a gun license and owned 6 firearms legally, and you can't. I'm pretty sure you can't get a gun license here unless you're a citizen.
mm,
So that kind of just flies in the face of that anti-immigration argument. They just don't like brown people and
yeah.
Muslims, and I don't even know if these guys are Muslims or not. I guess one of them was investigated for ties to ISIS, so probably. But
Yeah,
there's no
like ISIS flags just like dropped at the scene or some shit like
Mm,
that.
with their passports or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my only point earlier in saying that was that like the the narrative of false flag, it's like when somebody who's like a veteran, probably also suffering from some kind of PTSD because of that, commits some kind of like heinous atrocity, or if they even just had some kind of ties to any military whatsoever. It's like that always seems to work in the favor of people who want to like say it's like a conspiracy. It's like, why can't they just be a veteran who's mentally ill and they do that? Why do they have to have some kind of like shadowy tie, some secret meeting with some kind of nefarious deep state agent who's telling them to go commit this massacre for some way that doesn't even perceivably benefit the state, other than it lets them crack down, which they could always do anyway. They could always fucking do that. Like,
Yeah.
To be honest, I think the false flag narrative is mostly boosted by like right wing people.
yeah,
I notice a lot of posts overwhelmingly of people saying, "Oh, Mossad did this, Mossad, blah blah blah," and normally I'd be like annoyed seeing that kind of stuff because I'm like, can you guys understand how like imperialism works? Not everything's a fucking false flag. A lot of it is just blowback from like Israel's genocide, and
yeah.
that's the most rational cause. Is it was just blowback from Israel's genocide.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I'm like just happy that people are anti Israel. To be honest,
Mm.
I don't care if I'm so far beyond the point of I'm so far beyond the point of caring if people are anti-Israel in the correct way. Like I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna be like, oh, you need to understand that imperialism causes blowback. You need to have an anti-imperialist left-wing critique of Israel.
Mm.
At this point, after hundreds of thousands of people have been killed in Gaza, I want, and if people want to just say online that this was a Mossad thing, even though it obviously wasn't, whatever. Just as long as,
As long as they're
just as
anti-Mossad
long,
now, like,
yeah,
Yeah.
just as long as people are talking about how the cause of this is Israel, because it absolutely is.
yeah,
Um, and I guess we should get into this, right? Obviously, so um, the victims, uh, obviously, I'd say most of them, or the vast majority of them, have no ties to Israel or anything like that, and they're innocent, blah blah blah. But there are a few sort of standout individuals in here that sort of add more context to the story. For example, the rabbi that was killed. Now, what's his name? Rabbi El Schlanger.
Schlange.
Yeah, and if I Google him, the first thing that comes up on Google is the 10-year-old girl who was sadly killed. So that's very interesting that they're really not,
mm.
media sources are really not
The things
talking
that you
about.
were showing me that like you were posting to your stories too were like he was partying with those IDF soldiers. He went to Israel to party with them, to feed them food, to like celebrate with them, and he said like all those
Hmm.
really horrific things about Palestinians that you highlighted. I don't know what
So
our
he's not
abilities are
just
to
some.
like share images at this point. I
Yeah,
could
I
try.
wouldn't. I wouldn't. Oh, we won't. People, I'm sure people have seen the images, but okay, this guy wasn't just some random rabbi. As Australian media and international media, it's kind of framing it like this was a purely hate filled like anti-Semitic attack. Um, Rabbi Eli Schlanger, who was 41 years old at the time, was among the 15 murdered. He's from Chabad, right? The organization called Chabad, which is a right wing Zionist, so Nazi organization that he's raised money for the IDF in Australia and overseas. He's been to Israel. He's hung out, as Mike said, he's hung out and partied with IDF soldiers. He's signed the bombs that get dropped on children. There's all evidence of this, by the way. I'm not just talking out of my ass. You can find the photos if you just look him up. Although it's kind of being, a lot of information about him is actually being heavily suppressed.
Yeah.
Um,
There's literally the picture of him holding the bomb,
Mm-hmm.
right?
yeah,
I remember seeing that, and that was just like, holy shit! Look at this guy.
yeah. Um, so this guy is, and Chabad, it's called Chabad for Israelis. Chabad for Israelis, I think, was the organization. They organized this Hanukkah party was organized by them.
Mm.
So this wasn't just some Hanukkah party. It was a Hanukkah party organized by a genocidal Zionist organization.
It's like if the Nazis just had a cookout, basically.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
But the does that mean everyone who was in attendance knows about those links? Um, Not necessarily. I don't know who was in attendance, so I'm not going to make any assumptions about who knew, that it was a Zionist organization. Also, there were just heaps of people on the beach who were not there for that, who were wounded
Mhm.
or killed. So yeah, yeah. So it's just this guy, this rabbi, obviously was a not a good guy. And apparently the head of the Zionist Council was there. He took a selfie after he'd been shot. Um,
Yeah, I saw
Yeah, what
that
do you make
too.
of that,
Yeah,
dude? Like, I think that's like really adding to the false flag narrative. Of course, like when this
that's like
guy
the
just like,
that's
I
like the
think,
atrocity propaganda,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I think, to be honest, I just think um, I don't think that is that's proof of a false flag. I think that's just proof that Zionists are smart political actors and will utilize anything they can. They know to utilize it
I'll
to
take
the best
advantage
of.
of the situation.
yeah.
Yeah, they'll
It's just really crass or whatever the word for that is. It's like really shitty. Just like, can you imagine like being that kind of like? Just imagine that's your first thought. Like,
yeah.
Oh man, I better snap a picture so that I
ugh,
can
ugh.
justify killing Palestinians. You
Yeah, it's
know?
like how can I use this? How can I use this tragedy to justify doing a genocide,
Yeah.
basically? And then of course the media is like completely not talking about how the head of the Zionist Council was there. They're not talking about who this rabbi actually was. They're just talking about him as just quote unquote a rabbi named Eli Schlanger, without any information about his career. Um, Apparently there was a guy there who was I can't confirm this, but apparently there was a guy there who was wounded, who was an IDF medic,
Hmm.
um, and several Israelis as well, probably also in the IDF at some point. So certainly the story is a little bit more complex than the the simplistic narrative that's being pushed.
I mean, it
Yeah.
seems like even with all that information, um, it seems like yeah, the Marxist take on it is just like this is imperial blowback. This is just like another random shooting event. Unfortunately, like not in the place where that typically happens, like in the U.S., but like in one of the countries where that almost never happens. And because it was at a Jewish themed event, it unfortunately did hit some people who were like innocent, but then also hit these people who like are like ardent genocide supporters, and then
Mm.
that of
Or
course
And,
complicates the
implicitly,
narrative.
yeah.
And
and
then
one of the victims was a Holocaust survivor as well.
oh right, yeah, you
But
had said that,
yeah,
One of the
so
victims was a Holocaust survivor.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
which is crazy. Like
So,
imagine surviving the Holocaust, sorry, surviving the Holocaust and living that long and getting killed by like a mass shooter. Like this is crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, it just goes to show that Zionism is not good for Jewish people either.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yes,
had posted that
absolutely.
tweet in our Discord, and it was like, Zionists want these kind of anti-Semitic atrocity events to happen because it's convenient for their narrative, and it's like that again goes along with the Marxist take, which is that like this is just a random event, but the false flag narrative, the right uses that because it prevents any kind of ideas about even suggesting gun control because it's like, well, you can't gun control their way out of deep state events. They're going to always find a way to do it, so you might as well not even try. It's like not that we would
Yeah.
suggest gun control anyway, but that's why they do that. They always frame it as either a mental health issue that you just can't do anything about, or a deep state conspiracy, which, again, the deep state conspiracy is to get you to support gun control so they can impose the socialist communist dystopia on you where they take away all your guns and then you're screwed.
Or
That's literally what they believe. So
Yeah.
or
It's
it'd be
just
a it'd be an opportunity to bash Muslims and Arabs and talk about banning immigration,
which it
even
also
though
that's actually what it gets used for because again these
yeah.
random events get used for that. Like,
yeah.
Except
What was
these guys were Australian citizens. I don't know what to fucking tell you. Like,
yeah. What was the New York Times saying? They said this is what globalize the Intifada looks like.
oh my
You
god.
know that article. I didn't read it, but just the headline alone, just the headline alone is like this is so ridiculously unprofessional
Yeah.
from like a journalism standpoint. You know, like it's just inflammatory. It's just there to spew racist nonsense about
mm,
Muslims and Arab people.
I mean, I
So
would
fucked
say,
up.
Jared, just from what you were telling me the other day, like you've organized with more Muslim activist groups in favor of Palestine than I ever have. And I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if this guy or the guys who did this end up being like, what did they what did you say the national like they're Australian people, but are they like was there information about whether they are Muslim dudes who were committing this? Like,
They are Muslim,
okay, so
and
it wouldn't surprise me if they
they
are
probably did
anti-Semitic.
immigrate here, but they became citizens.
Like it probably
But
is likely that they are anti-Semitic, but that's again that goes
mm,
hand in hand with like not having a coherent analysis is doing something like a mass shooting. It's like people who like us, like Marxists, do not do a Luigi thing because we realize the uselessness of individualist adventurism. And then when I get a
Yeah.
bunch of shit talked on me because I say, "Hey, you guys," like I still haven't posted this, but I have this queued up in my in my camera roll here, and it's like the screenshot of the tweet saying that like Pam Bondi is announcing that they are going to go after natural-born citizens who have expressed hatred for the American government, for America, for the West, whatever, like who have expressed support of terrorism, and by that they mean Palestine, they mean Hamas, they mean Hezbollah, they mean Venezuela, they mean Luigi Mangione, like, and I have this post queued up saying like you guys are probably going to regret spending the last year and 2 weeks simping for a literal terrorist. You're probably going to regret all those "we need more Luigi" posts where you put on the internet in the permanent record of your life that you were simping for this guy who is, by definition, a terrorist. And like, just because you guys were too dim-witted to understand when I was saying that what you actually need is a vanguard party to exercise some kind of countervailing force against the totalitarian government that you suffer under, because I said you don't have that, and therefore Luigi is not good enough. And you thought that I meant Luigi is bad and that I'm simping for CEOs just because you guys are too dumb to understand like what I'm actually trying to say here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are probably
It's
gonna
very black
regret
and white.
simping for this terrorist once they start instituting the Palantir AI-led social media targeting schemes where they come to you at your houses. Like I'm just saying, I've been saying it for like the whole year, but don't listen to me. I wasn't right about China 5 years ago. I'm not right about this shit now. Whatever.
Yeah.
these
I
excuse me, these kinds of acts of quote unquote adventurism are never useful. No one no one really supports it. You shouldn't. Like let's just say in a hypothetical fantasy world that um the shooters were some kind of like pro Palestine guys or something, and they were activists or something like that. It would still be a horrible thing to do massacres. It doesn't matter what they represent. Massacres are just really fucking awful and stupid and don't achieve anything other than demonizing. You just demonize your own side. Like this will set back, even though pro Palestine activists didn't have anything to do with this shooting in Bondi. This is going to set back uh, Palestinian liberation movement within Australia for probably years and years and years. Does that really matter in the end, given that Australians supporting Palestine didn't actually result in our government doing any material actions for Palestine?
Yeah.
Probably not really. And, I've seen all this infuriating shit um, recently with how our politicians, the disgusting double standard of Australian politicians in relation to this massacre, as opposed to the massacres that are bigger than this that happen every day in Palestine, even during the ceasefire. By the way, the so-called ceasefire, like in Palestine, um,
yeah, they're still
400,
killing people.
at least 400 people have been killed since the ceasefire. But that again, that's a massive undercount. It's probably several thousand.
Hmm.
Yeah. And none
Um,
of that is going to make the news like
nope,
this did, right? They're going to have
no,
so many articles. They're going to have so many articles. The news is going to be flooded. It already is flooded with the
yeah,
Bondi Beach, shooting. But
yeah,
no one cares about Palestine. Nobody
mm,
cares about the people that are actually the victims uh, of U.S. imperialism, Israeli imperialism. You
Hmm.
know, no one is going to give a single shit about Palestine. You
no,
know,
Not in the
and
no.
Western media.
it's just
Like they're not going to be
it's really
allowed to.
sickening and it's upsetting.
Well, yeah, they're not going to be allowed to. Like, I did, like in Australia, you can get thrown in prison for quote unquote voicing support for quote unquote terrorists, and that means any organization that's listed as a
I was gonna say that whole
terrorist.
Palestine action thing just carry right over to Australia.
No, but
Okay.
if I said something like, I think Hamas is really cool, I would get, if I said that and meant it, I would get thrown in prison,
Mm.
for example, because they're a registered terrorist organization.
Damn.
But I can say the PFLP are really cool
Mm.
because they're not a registered terrorist organization. So,
Or not.
no, they're not. No.
Interesting.
Yeah, not in Australia.
Well, no, I think that
Um,
is the big takeaway. Like you were saying at the start, Jared. Like the takeaway from this whole Bondi Beach thing is focus on Gaza. All eyes back on the real Holocaust that is actually happening and the actual victims of the situation, which is Gaza. And if that hadn't been happening, this other stuff wouldn't have happened. And you should not be falling victim to like the people who are using this to provide more justification and sympathy for the people doing the genocide.
Yeah. And
Yep.
Netanyahu, didn't he immediately come out and say like, this is this is a result of Australia making moves to recognize Palestinian statehood. This is a direct result of that.
yeah,
You
so
know,
because Australia officially recognized the two-state solution,
which is
by the
already
way,
still a Zionist thing.
which is the Zionist thing and a fucking farce. But that's too much for fascists like Netanyahu.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the Australian government is anti Israel or something, which is pretty
which is not
funny.
true. Yeah,
No, it's not true because he's only saying that because the Labor Party are in charge here, or are ostensibly like quote unquote left wing party, and he would prefer that we had our even Labor's a right wing party, but they would prefer that we had an even further right wing party in power, the opposition. It would be even more Zionist. But keep in mind, the Labor Party are still the Labor Party manufactures weapons and trades with Israel. We make parts for the F-35, for example, and
Fine.
send them over there. We make parts for bombs that are sent over there. Where Australia is directly complicit in the massacring of
in the
hundreds of
Holocaust.
thousands of children. We're seeing this 10-year-old child's face be plastered everywhere. And yes, it is. It absolutely is extremely sad. Obviously, it's really sad. The same with most, all the victims. It's like sad, maybe except for anyone who was in the IDF. But yeah, I don't know the background of all the victims. But it's like, what about you? Are you gonna like show the same level of grief for the hundreds of thousands of Palestinians?
Do we have all of their names? Yeah. Do we
Yeah,
have
you're
all of
gonna
their names?
yeah, you're gonna show their names up on the TV. It's the same with them. I drove past a school recently. I think for the next week, all the Australian flags outside of government buildings are at half mast. And under the Flag Act in Australia, the Aboriginal flag and the Torres Strait Islander flag are also considered the Australian flags. So when I'm driving past these places and I see online outside of like Parliament House, the Aboriginal flag at half mast, this white settler government in Australia putting the Aboriginal flag at half mast in mourning of, 16 white people, while Australia materially aids and abets the extermination of Indigenous people in Palestine and in the past and now commits genocide against Aboriginal people.
Yeah, it's
I
galling.
never saw them. I never saw them lower the flag to half mast for the Aboriginal people. I've never seen them lower the flag to half mast for Palestine. But
Yeah.
they're lowering the Aboriginal flag to half mast for the for some white people who were killed in a massacre, in a mass shooting.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they can lower the Australian flag. I don't really give a shit what happens with the regular Australian flag. They can burn it for all I care. But
Exactly.
just seeing the Aboriginal flag be used in that way, which honestly I wouldn't even have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem with the Aboriginal flag being lowered to half mast for this, if they also did it for,
Right.
if they also lowered it
consistent.
to half mast whenever
Yeah,
an
yeah.
Aboriginal person was killed by police, or whenever an Aboriginal person dies in captivity, which happens a lot, by the way. Like Aboriginal deaths in custody are at their highest they've ever been now, apparently. The
Concentration camps.
the prisons in the Northern Territory. This is a good segue out of Bondi, but like the prisons in the Northern Territory just blocked the UN from entering. And the Northern Territory, for Americans who are listening and don't know the context, the Northern Territory is not a state. It doesn't have the rights of a state. It's a territory, so it's governed directly by the federal government and the federal police, who are like turbo racists. And the Northern Territory has a 10% Aboriginal population as opposed to the rest of the country, where the population's about 3.5%.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So it has a massive Aboriginal population, and that's where a huge number of Aboriginal people are in detention or custody in jail for whatever reason.
Yeah, so this is an intentional setup.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's completely intentional. And they just blocked the UN from inspecting the jails to make sure that they're upholding anyone's human rights. So that's, that's Australia. Yeah, that's Australia in a nutshell.
Australian colonialism.
Yeah, it's just one colony protecting another.
Are you guys not doing cute names for yours, like alligator Alcatraz? You're not doing like kangaroo something like?
We had a concentration
Didgeridoo dungeon.
We had a concentration camp in the middle of the ocean called on an island called Christmas Island.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's where we sent originally. So people who came to Australia via boat, refugees, mostly from the Syrian war, but also from the genocide of communists in Indonesia. They get put in a prison in the middle of the ocean called Christmas Island. Now, that's been emptied recently because it caused a huge amount of controversy for the last 15 years because guess what? Guess why they were putting them in an island in the middle of the ocean? Because they're not covered by Australian human rights laws at all.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Now they've moved them out of there, thank God. And instead they've sent them to Papua New Guinea, which is a colony of Australia, which is also not governed by Australia's human rights laws. It's governed by Papua New Guinea's human rights laws, which Papua New Guinea basically has no human rights laws. I mean, Australia fucking doesn't either. It doesn't apply them to Aboriginal people. But ostensibly we have these laws that you can get in trouble for breaking. So yeah, we have a concentration camp in Papua New Guinea that has a couple of thousand refugees who are held, by the way, in quote unquote indefinite detention.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just, what did Stalin say? Liberalism and fascism are twin brothers. You've got your Australian welfare state, where you as a white Australian man can get your healthcare and your everything else. Meanwhile, the fascism is exported to the far reaches of the country and islands where the actual concentration camps are.
The stream ended again.
Oh yeah. No. Well, we're probably at the end anyway. I mean, you only get 45 minutes at a time on Instagram, but this will all be recorded on one of those other streaming sites, and then I'll repost it to YouTube, and it'll all be on the Patreon, and then I should get the audio up onto the podcast feed as well. But we'll just we'll wrap it up here, and I'll give you guys a couple minutes to plug whatever social medias you want. But yeah, we'll just wrap up that segment by saying, of course, the message is focus on Gaza, all eyes on Gaza. And I think it was ironically Chapo that summed it up the best years ago when they said that you're going to get Fortress America. They're going to buckle down on all the border enforcement. They're going to become more brutal in every aspect in the prison enforcement. Domestically, they're going to be more brutally terroristic abroad. And all the Western countries are going to follow suit. They're going to shrink down their welfare states. I kind of disagree with you, Jarrod, when you were saying that we're going to get universal health care when things get really desperate. But I don't know. If the population shrinks small enough that they can make that equation work, then yeah, they may do it. But only time will tell. Yeah, it seems like they were right. We're all going to be getting fortress Western countries, and all we can do is watch. We will all be just forced to watch as the genocides abroad happen. And they said this years before the one in Gaza happened, but they were dead on. They were like, you will just get to watch on your phone as all these horrific things happen to brown people outside your borders as a result of your government, and you can do nothing about it. Which is why I keep saying we have to just fucking leave. The only revolutionary thing we can do is leave that empire and actually materially remove your contribution to it. But I'm like a broken record with that shit. So again, plug your social medias, you guys, whatever else you want to plug, and then we'll wrap it up.
Just follow Tico1917 on.
Yeah, TCOE. It's for True Crimes of the Empire.
Oh yeah, and you can follow Como Mate if you want, but I barely post on there anymore. Trying to grow, been trying to grow Tico1917.
It's always good to have at least
more.
2 accounts. Trust me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've been very active on there, and it's if I'm missing something in the Discord, then like I'll usually look at your story and you say a lot of big blocks of
I
text.
forgot
And
to
I'm
check
like,
stories,
oh, yeah,
man. I gotta make a point to do
I
that.
screenshot a lot of what you say.
Presumably to forward to the Mossad or something. Yeah.
You can follow me on Instagram at Marxist Analysis Newsletter. I'm on Substack, same name. Patreon, YouTube channel. I've got my own YouTube channel, Marxist Analysis Newsletter. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hell yeah.
It's been
Amazing.
really good talking to you guys again.
Yeah, this was fun. Yeah, if you're seeing this or hearing this later, you're already following me, so I'm not going to bother. But thank you guys for joining me. This was fun. And as always, if you want to sign up for the Patreon or whatever, I just give the money to these guys. I wouldn't be able to go on all my rants and raves about grifters if I took money for this shit. So that's what I do. I just give it to other people, and then I feel like I can get on my high horse and be superior to everyone on who's like trying to build a brand. Not you guys. I'm not talking about you guys, but like just all these other people that I'm shitting on a daily basis on Instagram. Like I have another post queued up where I just screenshot all my block list and I tell people like, look, I'm not telling you to like unfollow these other people. Go follow them. I'm just saying block me. Just understand that I think you're stupid. I think you're like a little piggy dumb brain who likes your slop content, and you like to be told what you already believe repeated back to you, and that's what you want out of your political posts. And I'm actually here trying to educate people about Marxism, Leninism, and what is the actual solution to all the suppression that they actually face. And if you don't want that, go follow these other dumb little piggy slop brains, and you can give them your money, and you can all have your little slop circle, and you can circle jerk with each other. I just want no part of it, and I don't want to be involved with any of you, and I need to train my algorithm to get me away from the dumb piggy retards. So
I gotta.
I don't care. I don't care. Woke is over, and they lost.
I'm adding slop circle to my ideology.
Yeah, slop circle. I'm anti-slop circle.
I'm anti-slop circle.
You're welcome.
Not ideology. No, I mean yes, ideology, but like
your lexicon,
slop circle
your vocabulary.
My vocabulary. That's what I was looking for. Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thank you once again for joining me. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the Discord later, guys.
Yeah.
Take care. Fare thee well.